A show of solidarity. Several organizations came together walking through the streets of Tshwane against drug abuse. The youth also showed up in their numbers as they are the most affected by the scourge of drugs in their communities.
What we're demanding, it's a drug-free. It's a drug-free society because our society has gone through drugs. Our kids are not going to school anymore.
Put South Africa First, that organized the march, says the country is doomed if the youth is not safe from drug addiction.
90% of youth in our country, they're all addicts. And it cannot be in a country. That means this country does not have a future. So we're here to say to the president, enough is enough, you need to take a stand. Actually, this should be a state of emergency. It should have been treated like the pandemic. He needs to deploy SNDF and SABC to raid all these buildings that have turned into drug hubs.
I think for one, the shortage of staff members at our SABC, that's where it starts, because you find one detective that has a high caseload of over 300 cases. We find that, when they send the evidence to forensics labs, it takes about 3 months to come back. The important and one of the ways that we can deal with corruption within SABC is to deploy counter to your hotspots, to your communities where you know that drugs are rife. Deploy counter within SABC.
In the LGBTI community, we are faced with mainly drug abuse due to homophobia and discrimination. So we are saying this initiative is going to take us further because it's going to make us be the better people that we want to be in the LGBTI people, and also we're going to get the acceptance that we want. Thank you.
Kolani Khumalo, who has since become a face of drug-busting programs, says everyone must join the war against drugs.
We don't want people sitting back because of, as black people, we have this thing of once you appoint police to do something you want them to do, you relax as a citizen. So I'm encouraging everyone to stand up and help government. We are the government.
We are standing up as Santaco because we are the biggest public transport organization, and we say police must be confident that we will work with them at all costs. They should not back off because they are the ones to execute the arrest and so on. But we will give information when necessary as Santaco.
Some mothers whose sons died due to drug addiction shared their pain.
I buried him on the 7th of July. Also, Palafala, my neighbor, also was buried at April. There are many children are dying in our community with this drug. So we lost our sons and daughters. Please, government can help. Please help us. We plead to government.
I didn't know that my son is taking drugs up until he becomes sick and I take him to the hospital. She then revealed that, Mom, drugs are dangerous.
The Young Communist League of South Africa called for no bail for drug dealers.
Here to call for the re-establishment of the South African Narcotics Bureau that was decommissioned in 2004. We are calling for the effective implementation of the National Drug Master Plan.
Meanwhile, through their memorandums, the organizations want the president to implement the National Anti-Drug Master Plan, secure the country's borders, and deal with drug lords decisively. Patricia Fasage, SABC News in Pretoria.